Hello, I'm Dr. Q. Welcome to my channel. This is the ninth class of Principles of Economics. In this video, I will cover the topic of government set price. While there are varieties of methods the government can use to intervene in the market and manipulate price, we focus on two types in this video: price setting and price floor. In last class, Lecture 8, I provide analysis of the market equilibrium and the consequences of market equilibrium out of change in demand and/or supply with graphical expressions. I described an ideal situation. If all the goods and services are purely distributed by the market, eventually we won't have any prolonged surplus or shortage. The interaction of demand and surplus will move the market to clearing point. The efficiency in allocation and production will be achieved. In short, market is great. We just need to stay out of the way and let the market do the job. In real world, we, of course, do not always have that. Have what? Let the market adjust itself to market equilibrium in its natural way. The reasons can be multiple. Some are very obvious, like we wouldn't legalize the market for human organs transplant because of the moral objection that turning human organs into commodities commercializes human beings and diminishes the special nature of human life. Consequently, there is a waiting list scheme for transplants legally, combined with the $1 billion yearly illegal market for transplants worldwide. We wouldn't legalize the illegal drugs because the health and criminal issues related, but we know that there always are black markets for the illegal drugs. It seems like as long as there is demand, there is a supply. If market cannot work legally, it's going to work illegally. Illegalization tackles the market drastically, try to eliminate the supply and suppress the demand. In plenty of cases, market interruptions can be subtle and politically driven. Now, let's look at the situation when the market price is interrupted by the government and prevented from clearing itself. First of all, let's think about why the government wants to interrupt the market. What's the incentive? The alleged reason is for the benefits of people. A timely example. In the middle of COVID-19 pandemic, many of us have experienced that buying hand sanitizer, tissue paper, facial masks, gloves, disinfection wipes, and cleaning products has become very difficult and quite expensive. The reason, of course, is that unusually large numbers of people are rushing to buy the products that prevent the spread of the novel coronavirus. It's normal for people to stock up on supplies during crisis. Demand for pandemic-related products, unprecedented surge, immediately results in empty store shelves. Soon followed by skyrocketing prices. From what we learned in Lecture 8, this is how market works. It takes time, but the market will adjust itself to the new equilibrium after the increase in demand. People now apparently value the pandemic-related products much more, and this perceived higher value can be shown by the higher price that they'd like to pay. And a higher price should encourage the society to divert more economic resources onto the production. I'm not saying that there is no opportunistic person try to take advantage of people in the middle of pandemic. Like someone bought huge amount of disinfection products at the beginning of the outbreak and later sell at a high price for arbitrage. But the market force should be able to clear itself after a while. Of course, no consumers like the price hikes. Then in order to protect the poor consumers and improve the access to the products in higher demand, politicians around the globe demand an end to the high price. They ask the government to step in to set a cap on the price. For example, businesses cannot sell the hand sanitizer at a price higher than $3 for every 2 ounces. Any seller charges a higher price than this will receive a warning or being fined. Because businesses cannot charge a price higher than the one specified by the government actually set a cap or a roof for the price. In that sense, this government set price is called price ceiling. Means that you cannot go above this upper boundary. While this is well-intentioned, such hard-line intervention is a mistake on many levels. First of all, as I mentioned before, the higher price now conveys nothing more than the unusually intense surge in demand for these products. Consumers value these products more than ever, which is reflected by the higher prices. If the price instead are kept artificially low, at such a low price, the shoppers lucky enough to get to the stores first would hoard as many as they can and leave nothing for shoppers in line behind them, because now low price does not discourage the unnecessary purchase. Secondly, high price results from increase in demand have another important advantage. It creates incentives for manufacturers or societies to divert resources onto activities that increase the supply of these goods. The higher prices encourage higher levels of production for goods like masks and hand sanitizers. It also sends signals to businesses outside the industry that this is profitable and please join the production, which then increase supply. But if government steps in to set the price at an awfully low level and prevents prices from adjusting upward, this will discourage the businesses and firms to produce accordingly. Even if the business plan on producing more because of government order or a sense of social responsibility, the additional demand might not result in enough revenue to cover the extra costs for production and shipment. Thirdly, without the fluctuations of price signal, the artificially low price won't tell manufacturers how much or how quickly they need to increase the production. Because the price ceiling set by the government blocks the interactions between demand and supply that the market creates. And now the sellers and consumers cannot communicate with the price signal anymore. The consequence is that price ceiling set by the government worsen and lengthen the pre-existing shortage. And this shortage is chronic, cannot be eliminated by the market because of government intervention. So, what should the government do instead? In immediate short run, it can provide incentive to lower the demand, such as staying-at-home order to decrease the chance of using the products. But the focus should be on providing an incentive to the manufacturers to increase the supply, as the high demand probably persists before the pandemic is over. The Japanese electronics giant Sharp uses its TV factories to make surgical masks. Manufacturer Foxconn did the same in China to protect its employees who assemble iPhones. Dyson produces ventilators for UK and also make donations. Ford, GE, and 3M partner to build ventilators and protective equipment. When supply is big enough to meet the extraordinary high demand, the shortage problem will be solved. The new equilibrium will be discovered. And we can see that the new equilibrium price can even be lower than the price ceiling. Under this scenario, previous effective price ceiling now is ineffective as it is higher than equilibrium price and it fails the goal of helping consumers to push the price lower than market equilibrium price. But now, the market achieves its efficiency at equilibrium. Let's do a quick summary. Sometimes, government finds that they are facing a dilemma between efficiency and equity. They think for some products or services, such as personal protective equipment in pandemic, should be widely accessible to the public. Anyone who wants the products should be able to afford one. And the current price set by the market is too high to be afforded by the majority of people. So in order to help consumers to push the price lower than the prevailing equilibrium price, the government stepped in, set a cap on the price the sellers can charge, and it is lower than the equilibrium price to achieve the goal of helping consumers effectively. Under effective price ceiling, market cannot adjust itself to equilibrium. Therefore, the price ceiling generates inefficiency, which is chronic shortage. But the market is dynamic, which means demand and supply may change. If something happens, results in the equilibrium price to be lower than the price ceiling, makes previous effective price ceiling now ineffective. Because it does not work to the goal of pushing the price lower than equilibrium price anymore, this time market is efficient in allocation and production as the price is at its equilibrium. The shortage generated by effective price ceiling results in problems like long waiting lines or black market. Another example of price ceiling is the rent control that is popular in big metropolitan statistic areas, such as New York City. A lot of people want to live in the city to enjoy the convenience and amenity, but cannot afford a high rent. In order to make sure that a bigger amount of people who want to live in the city can afford the rent, government step in to set a price ceiling for the rent in certain area. For example, the equilibrium price for renting for one bedroom could be $3,000, and the government step in saying that you cannot charge a rent higher than $1,500. The consequence is insanely long waiting list for a unit, and the building owners are not getting the payment that the building deserves. Plenty of them choose to convert the residents into office units or other business purpose, or simply neglect the maintenance of the building, making the already severe shortage worse. The opposite of price ceiling is price floor. Price floor is imposed by the government to set a price above the equilibrium price in order to help producers or sellers, because the producers and sellers want to push the price as high as possible. The most phenomenal example is minimum wage. In labor market, businesses, firms that hire people to work at the demand side, while people offer their labor in exchange for salary compose the supply or seller side. The price of labor has a unique name called wage. Look at this hypothetical labor market graphical expression. The equilibrium price of labor or wage is somewhere at $7.50. In order to protect the sellers of labor, workers, the government stepped in to set a minimum wage at $13, which means when businesses hire workers or purchase labor, the amount of money they pay has to be higher than or equal to $13 per hour. This is called the price floor, as it sets a lower boundary for the price. The market wants to adjust the price to a lower level, but cannot. At such a high price, a lot of people want to work, but not enough businesses can afford to hire. Because the high wage rate would increase the cost of production. The minimum wage generates the chronic surplus of labor, which is unemployment. On top of that, businesses and firms will search for a cheaper alternative to replace the expensive labor. They may develop technologies such as industrial robots or relocate manufacturers overseas. The unemployment issue can be worse off in short run. Let's do a summary. In order to help poor producers or sellers effectively, government steps in to set a price floor to push the price higher than equilibrium price. This generates economic inefficiency, surplus. If something happens, for example, demand for labor increases because of the economy is booming, and more businesses and firms demand labor, demand curve shifts right-hand side, then the new equilibrium price is higher than the price floor, and the previous effective price floor now become ineffective, as it does not achieve the goal of helping sellers of labor to push the price higher than equilibrium price. The price floor is ineffective, but the market achieves its efficiency at equilibrium. There is no surplus or shortage. Another industry that the government uses the price floor a lot is agriculture sector, or agriculture produce. Let's do a couple of practice. First one, pause and come back for explanation. Alright, let's look at this question. The first piece of information on the question provides is to prevent gas stations from passing on the burden of a new 4.3 cents per gallon gas tax. This information is actually misleading and redundant. It just puts you in context. The fact we care about is the price ceiling of $3 per gallon is imposed. Let's look at the graphical expression here. The market equilibrium is supposed to be at $2 and 4/1000 of gallons, and the price ceiling is established to help whom? To help consumers. To do what? To push the price lower than equilibrium price. Now, is price ceiling $3 lower than equilibrium price $2? No. Therefore, this price ceiling is ineffective and the market is efficient at its equilibrium, where quantity supplied equals quantity demanded. There's no shortage, no surplus. Next one. Pause and come back for explanation. Alright, let's look at the first part of information. The initial equilibrium price is $2 per pound, while price floor is also $2. Apparently, the price floor at this stage is ineffective because price floor is established to help producers or sellers to push the price higher than equilibrium price, and it fails to do so. Next, it says that after price floor is announced, there is a sharp increase in the supply of coffee beans. The supply curve shifts right-hand side to supply 2. If there were no government intervention, the new equilibrium is the crossing point of supply 2 and demand at equilibrium price of $1.50 and 12.5 million pounds. But can the market adjust itself to this new equilibrium? No, it cannot, because the previous ineffective price floor $2 now is effective in pushing the price higher for producers because it's bigger than $1.50. At $2, the quantity wanted to be purchased by consumers can be found on demand curve. Right here, which is 10 million pounds. While the quantity supplied needed to be found on supply 2. Which is 15 million pounds. The gap, 15 minus 10, 5 million pounds, is a surplus. Did you pick the right one? Alright, that's all I have for this video. In next one, I'll cover elasticity. Thank you for watching. Please like and share this video and subscribe my channel for more lectures in economics.